All right, we are on. Welcome to the Blank Page Podcast, episode 3. I'm Claudio.
And I'm Matthew.
Yeah, very cool. How have you been, man?
I've been good. Episode 3 already.
Already?
Yeah.
Like, man, this is, time flies and we are having fun. Do you have any topic, anything you would like to explore today?
Anything I would like to explore today? There's so much going on.
I know. If there's anything, get it out. If you don't, I have an idea.
Well, jump into it since you have one already. Let's go.
Yeah, but I wanted to check with you. Like, man, I want to talk about this one thing.
Nothing's at the top of mind. It's just a whole bunch of things. It's like
okay. Sounds good. So here's what I'm gonna do, and we're gonna make it as an experiment. I'm gonna on the side here, I'll record my screen and then edit that in.
Okay.
I don't need that. I don't need that.
And while you're setting this up, tell us what tool this is.
So the tool that people will see, and let me just make sure. Okay, so we are using Teams to record the meeting so that we can use the in-room camera and the audio system, the sound system. I'm also recording using MacWhisper to record all of the audio to get some good transcription out of this, because even though we're recording through Microsoft Teams, we've learned that the transcription that comes from there is not that great because it's going to pick the room's user. So it says, the trust room, which is the name of this room and improving, the trust room said whatever, regardless of who said it. In MacWhisper, which I'm going to actually use that, show that in a little bit, it identifies the different speakers, so it makes it easier to make that split. And then the thing that I will show today is NotebookLM.
Nice.
So here's an idea. So as we explained in previous episodes, Matthew and I got together to have this podcast to extend some weekly meetings that we had been having for, we had maybe 6 or 7 meetings or something like that, that we were getting together to design a talk through collaboration and iteration.
That's right.
So we did exactly what we're doing right now. We recorded every single one of those meetings. So for instance, one of those, like the one in August 7th, right? And this is the kind of transcript that we get from MacWhisper, right? Claudio said this, Matthew said that. So we got all of those bits as sources of material that we then use to collaborate and create a whole new talk on that. So what I would like to try out today is to come in here. So this is Google's NotebookLM. I've loaded all of these transcripts from all the meetings we had in preparation for that talk. I want to come here in the chat. And by the way, when I'm working on NotebookLM on the big screen, I like seeing it like this, where I see the 3 things together. For the video's sake, to make it easier for people to read, I'm going to focus on this side of things, right? So here, it's already summarizing what our conversations had been about. I want to come in here and ask the following. Give us the top 3 aha moments we've had in these meetings. I want to see what comes up.
All right.
And then we explore that. Let's see where that takes us. All right.
So while it's doing this,
yes.
Do you have any suspicions about what it may come up with?
Yes.
Give me an example.
The title, the name of this podcast, the Blank Page Podcast, is one. The conversation about collaboration and iteration was a big thing that we discussed throughout. So I have a good feeling that's something that's going to come up. What about you?
Something related to AI, because that's been a central.
That is 100%.
That's been a central theme in every conversation that we've had.
So. Yes. Let's see what it has come up with.
All right.
All right. Based on the analysis, the aha moments, the realization that content creation does not require facing a blank page.
Very first one.
Very first one. So I like how it describes, like how we discussed that, and it gives us the citation, right? So if folks may be already doing this in other tools like ChatGPT, Gemini, not necessarily like sometimes in ChatGPT does not give us the citation like this.
Correct.
Right. So I felt like this is more useful depending on what kind of research or content you're trying to create. Talks about those. So the insights, you created your voice vault, so it brings those up. We have mentioned that in previous episodes. What else? The power of capturing conversations to drive iterative improvement and overcome resistance.
Yes.
Which was like the main topic of the talk.
Yeah.
And then let's see, what's the third one? The technical breakthrough of using natural language for solution creation.
Oh, this is a really good one.
Right? Interesting. And a few days ago, I tried something very similar to this, and it gave me another one in the top 3, which was the 30-second wow.
Yes.
Right? Which it didn't bring up here, but it's totally cool.
So did you use the same prompt?
I did.
Okay.
Yes.
Interesting.
I did use the same prompts. Like, give me the top 3 aha moments. Let's see what has come up. And that one didn't come up here.
Okay.
But it's totally fine. So, like, out of these, anything you want to explore there?
I would say the third.
Third one.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, we can explore all 3. We got the time, but
yeah. Let's see. So for Claudio, a major breakthrough was witnessing the effective use of natural language user stories to generate functional software solutions, validating decades of technological evolution. I achieved a breakthrough moment when I successfully fed a user story written in high-level natural language using the formats. Actually, this is not correct. I didn't use SA, blah, blah, blah. I was very specifically using in order to achieve a certain value as some sort of persona, I want to that. And then I described the acceptance criteria in scenarios using the Gherkin language, the given, when, then, right? Which is right there.
Yes.
So I gave that earlier this year into Cursor, and then zeros and ones flying behind the curtains, and then boom, here comes the solution, right? I saw working software right there in front of me. So that for me was a breakthrough, right? After like 30 years in software development, when I was able to just give it plain English and see working software on the other end after like a minute or so, that to me was like, okay, now we are there.
I agree. It's interesting that it did give us this specific answer. And one of my suspicions about this is because we've talked about this topic so many different times, you've described it in different ways.
Yes. And it picked one of the times.
It picked one.
Yep.
Yes. And that one isn't necessarily as closely aligned with what you originally said, but it is one.
Yeah. And if we look at
there's a citation. Yes.
Oh, and look at how interesting. I gave Cursor a user story in order to as a blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But it changed that to as a. Oh, no, it didn't pick the in order to. I get it. I thought it was going with the as a, I want to so that. But no, it started from the as a blah, blah, blah. Okay, that's still
valid.
But having the citation right here with the little blurbs, like,
it gives you the context.
Perfect.
That's right.
Right? This was powerful because the prompt explained the goal from a high level as a person. I actually gave a talk yesterday, BDD, but not the way you heard it before.
Yes.
Where I explained BDD, where behavior is from the perspective. If you look up literature on BDD, it talks about describing the behavior of the system.
Yes.
It's either the behavior of the code or the application or the system. And I vouch for flipping that on its head and say it's from the human's perspective.
Yes.
Right. And then so it caught on that kind of communication that I've been having from a high level as a person rather than using technical commands. And the AI interpreted that intent to build the system.
Yes.
Right. Noted this demonstrated that developers are now using natural language to create solutions. It's interesting that it says are now using natural language. For me, it is the language that I've been using for decades now. I start with that, and then I've been writing the code myself.
Correct.
Now we're able to feed that into tools that will do that for us.
So this removes a step, this translation layer that you would then have to do, because it would always begin with natural language.
Right.
You're talking to a stakeholder, for example. You get the requirements, you do this translation into code, and go from there. But now you just start with natural language, feed that into this machine, and you get something in return.
Correct. Yes, it's fascinating. Hearing promise. A reality that I had been hearing promise for over 30 years in the industry.
Yeah.
Like, as soon as I started working in software development, I started hearing of a tool where people would not need developers, right? The business people could create software, and that's where we created the whole like Microsoft Access, where you can specify, oh, I have customers and I have orders, and then you could click on a table, drag it over some sort of surface, and it would create a CRUD form, right? From way back then, now we are actually seeing that happen.
Yes.
Like, after 30 years of hearing that, I actually see it, and I've been experiencing that and working like that for the last several months now. This moment solidified the idea that the priority is the outcome.
Yes.
Solving the problem rather than the output, the raw code, right? Reinforcing the need for empathy and dialogue in the design process.
Yes. So, I mean, to that end, it's not like we're doing anything new. This has always been the process, or should have been.
Yes.
More importantly, should have been the process.
Should have been the process.
Clear communication, understanding the human in the loop, the people who will actually be using the software, as opposed to this thing that we tend to do, which is, okay, someone describes the problem, and we immediately start to think of how we can implement this with a technical solution.
Yes.
And that usually becomes the star of the show.
Yeah.
Like, okay, what tool am I going to use? Am I going to use this? Am I going to use that? What kind of database? Where's code going to live? All of these concerns, when the real concern and the thing that we should stay closest to is the why, the problem that we're trying to solve.
Yes.
Because we quickly get away from it.
Yeah.
We're concerned about the tools.
And even thinking about the problem, like, beyond the technology.
Yes.
That's something that I've been really trying the hardest, like, to not focus on user, not referring to people all the time as users.
Yes.
Because nobody, this is a point I make a lot of time, nobody gets off bed every day saying, yay, today I'm going to spend 8 hours in front of my computer, hitting the keyboard and looking at the screen. It's like, no. People will go out to perform whatever job and tasks they have. And as part of that life, at some point, they may interact with a computer.
Correct.
Right? At that point, they will use that computer. But if we're only focused on that, that's when we are like target fixating on one thing, overlooking everything else that's going on with that person's life.
Correct.
Right? And that's tough for most technologists to get their minds around.
That's interesting.
Okay.
It's interesting because when we arrive at work here, for example, our day usually begins with stand-up. And even before the stand-up, we're doing water cooler talk, where we're in this kitchen area, sharing things about our lives, not necessarily related to the work that we're doing, but the human element of it. So the day always begins with this very, very human-to-human interaction. And when the work begins, it's like we flush all of that out, and we're only focused on this thin slice of how the humans are using our software, so how we should be thinking about building it ourselves.
Yeah. And it's interesting. I like that you caught on to that, like having the daily scrum, right? Yeah. Where folks who are heavily focused on the technical side, they will not see the daily stand-up, the daily scrum, as a conversation. They will see it as a report. It's a project update. And then they will go like, yesterday I created the customers table and I created a stored procedure to do that, and I created an index to optimize that query, everything very technical.
Yes.
Right? As opposed to leading with, yesterday was challenging. I felt challenged with the problem at hand because I didn't have the knowledge to pull off that solution. That would be a little bit more human, because then the person would be explaining what they felt and their behavior, which was like, oh, I spun my wheels for an hour because I didn't know what to do, and I thought I would be silly asking that, right? So it's not a conversation.
Mm-hmm.
So when people start realize, like, yeah, in those conversations, don't use them as a project update.
Yes.
Say like, hey, these were the challenges I had. This is what I felt. At the end of the day, I felt great because I came up with a solution I can share with you guys if anybody's interested after this meeting, and take it from there. That is a more holistic, human-centered conversation.
It is, and it will be more useful, not just to the team, but to the Scrum Master, the person who has to do all of this planning.
Yeah.
So if he doesn't know about the struggle that you had with this task or the series of tasks, it's really difficult to point or to project into the future about how long this thing might take. This is why, like, even now, and it's been a problem for a long time, it's difficult for us to estimate how long it will take to get something done.
Yeah.
And it's because we're only concerned when we are doing this pointing with the technical side of it.
Yeah.
When it's humans who have to perform this work.
Yeah.
And we leave all of that out. It doesn't even become a part of the estimation.
Yes. Now, yeah, let me share, because it's so cool that here at Improving we have, like, it's very deliberate how we are constantly talking about how we are leveraging AI to streamline and do our work better, right? So something that I've been doing with my team for the last, I'd say 3 sprints, we have been recording and transcribing every single daily Scrum.
Yes.
And you are being very deliberate at explaining what are the challenges that we faced, what were the big wins the previous day, what are we planning to do, today, what kind of realizations, what were the things we learned, like we say it out loud.
Yes.
Yesterday, I had this problem, and then I used the following sources, and I learned the following thing, right? And we call it out. And we might say, well, I've run into this question. I was not sure what the answer was, and maybe our product owner was not available, so I made an assumption. This is something we need to ask the product owner.
Yes.
And this thing here that we've implemented, this story, I was thinking the best way to demonstrate its value to the stakeholder, and then we describe what that scenario would be. It's all being recorded. So like my sprint review is tomorrow.
Yes.
This morning, I went into my AI tool and I prompted, I have some instructions to say, I'm about to prepare for sprint review. So it goes through all of these transcripts from our daily scrums,
right,
and it's going to look out for these things. Like, what are the questions we said we had to ask the stakeholders? What are the things we want to make sure that we demonstrate to the stakeholders? Tomorrow, when we do retro, I'm going to prompt the thing and say, prepare a retro for us. And then we have a whole separate meeting with lessons learned, where we go a little bit more in depth into all the things that we've been talking about all sprint long. So instead of showing up at retro and say, well, I don't know, man. Was it this sprint that we did that one thing? It's like,
no, we just know because we have an account of everything that has happened already. Yeah.
So last sprint, when I pulled up and I asked the tools, like, hey, prepare sprint retro, and then it gave me some things. I'm like, I don't remember saying that. What is that all about? So I asked, and then it gave me the citation, and I was like, oh, that was this sprint, and I had totally forgotten about that. And that's important because, and then we had more to work with.
I think this is one reason. Like for example, I would call that a blind spot detection.
Yeah.
So this is something that was discussed. Multiple people heard it, and it doesn't naturally surface in conversation because maybe it doesn't rise to the level of importance in a person's mind to mention it, or they just forgot about it because they didn't internalize it as something super important. But when you have this thing that can look over the scope of an entire sprint, remember everything that was said, know what comes up in the conversation based on what you report and what is missing from the conversation as well. Right. Both of those data points are there, and it can surface, hey, you guys didn't mention this. Okay, this is on the list, but there was this other theme that you guys aren't mentioning. Why is that? And that's blind spot detection. That's what I would call it. And I think this is an important feature to have in a meeting, because if the humans miss it, it just goes unnoticed.
There you go. And that's, yes, 100%. And as part of the instructions that we have to run this kind of analysis, we add, like, do some sentiment analysis. So if the team member says, yeah, I was, worried, concerned, anxious, pick up on that, because that's something that, what are we going to try next sprint to make it better?
So the sentiment analysis works in concert with this blind spot detection.
Yeah.
Because if it notices, it detects the sentiment of concern or worry or even anger or something like this, and this is a topic that seems to be avoided, now we can do something with that information.
Correct.
The system can surface it as, hey, there's this elephant in the room that you guys are not discussing, and here may be why.
Yeah.
This may be why. So, yeah.
About that. Yeah.
We have a lot of off-the-shelf tools. I'm sure MacWhisper can do sentiment analysis, for example.
I think MacWhisper only does the transcription.
That's it?
I think that tool is tailored to that.
Okay.
To receive audio, and the model that it uses, it's trained on doing better transcriptions.
That's it.
And then we take that transcription and then we pipe it through some model that may do sentiment analysis and whichever kind of analysis we want.
Interesting. So I mentioned maybe the last time we spoke that I'm building my own tool.
Right.
It is tentatively called ConvoMind.
Right.
And it does this transcription. I'm using MacWhisper. I mean, not MacWhisper. I'm using a DeepGram to handle the transcription.
Right.
And as a part of DeepGram's Nova 3 model, it handles sentiment analysis. It handles diarization, so we can know who the speakers are and assign names to them.
Right.
And it handles entity detection, so it knows this building that you mentioned, or this storefront or whatever. It handles all of these things, and then we pipe the transcription with all of that information into GPT-5 to then surface all of these other concerns like blind spot detection. So these are some of the things that I get to work on in my private time, because I don't have more time. I have better tools to do so.
Yeah, exactly. And I love that, because I wonder, I've been, as I know you've been putting the work into creating tools for the journaling and all of that. And I've been wanting and logging ideas about the same thing, where I want, whether it's going to be different tools tailored to certain use cases, or a tool that can take in templates, right? Because it's still you're recording something and you're trying to get some analysis out of it, right? Create something out of it. So as you're discussing, there could be a Scrum template where it would know well, if the team is logging that information, we have the transcription, what would the Scrum Master do? What should the product owner know about that? Oh, the team is talking about this, that, and the other. I have the answers to that.
Yes.
So having a template that would say, oh, yes, summarize this for our product owner so that they can help us with that.
And I like that it's a process that happens in post. Because we could do something fancy where we have streaming transcriptions, and those transcriptions being piped into GPT-5 Live, and it being able to throw answers up on a board right away.
Yeah.
But because this is something that just naturally happens in post today, we get to do something a little bit different. We get to see what people answer when they're asked these questions about the previous sprint. And then we get to say, hey, these are some of the things they discussed, but here are these other things that they simply did not.
Correct.
And let's bring that to their attention. Let's see why.
Yeah.
So we get to do cool things like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
I like that. That's very cool. That's very cool. And you know what? Something that's I just want to like point out to people like another feature that I like here is the like hitting for the mind map.
Yes.
That's it created because I like how it plots like some topics. It will bring up other topics
Yes.
that we may forgot. That is the kind of thing like we've mentioned this before. Like there's not such a thing such as a blank page. Correct. Unless that's what we want.
Unless we want that.
Because if we show up here and say, well, what should we talk about? Oh, I'm drawing a blank. I don't have anything here. Well,
Yeah.
let's look at that mind map. Like
That's
right now it created, it's like, here are all potential topics. The core problem, resistance to AI tools,
Yes.
forms of resistance. Like we talked about all these things.
Yeah.
Like, so any of these things that are here, like the blank page problem, initial creative, this and that, like it's not making that up. We have talked about those things. So we can say, oh yeah, that. Yeah. I have just learned something that actually ties into that.
That's right.
Or tell me more about that. Like if we click on that thing, it
gives us the original context. This is the thing that I like most because when people think about AI and you asking it a question and it giving you some answer, how do I know this thing is not hallucinating?
Correct.
In this case, whatever answer it's giving you, there's a citation tied to it.
Correct.
Where we can harken back to what was originally said.
Correct.
And I think that's amazing.
Yeah.
I think in terms of building trust, this is a huge feature.
It is. Yes. I have been leveraging this a lot, where I've been creating like separate notebooks here, dropping some content that's like, it's my content, things that I have from my meetings, from talks that I've given, blog posts that I've written in some topic.
Yeah.
I drop it in the sources, and then I have my little chats because I'm trying to like get information out of it.
Yeah.
I may add, if I want to like add sources there, it's like, oh, I'll add like a link to somebody's website or whatever, right? If I want to bring other things into the sources here. But then from there, man, I have been using this a lot, creating the, how do I get, there. Like creating the video or audio overview.
Yes.
I've been using that quite a bit because then I put that on my phone, and as I'm driving, I listen to it and I hear, like, if I'm only using my own sources, I'm hearing my own words fed back to me through a different voice. Yeah. Right? But it's interesting because while our words are just up here, racing thoughts, we're not really seeing them. When you have somebody else or something else, in the case of AI, saying those back to you, it just applies a different perspective. It lets us see our thing from a different perspective.
Yes. And it's almost, it's not just almost, it's intentional in some cases. For example, there are the podcasts, and there are different styles of podcasts that it can generate.
Correct.
One of them is the debate.
Yes.
So everything that it's speaking about, here we go. We got deep dive, we've got brief, we've got critique, and finally we've got debate. And there are different lengths that you can generate these audio clips at, shorter, default, and longer. You can do the debate style. So all of your thoughts and the things that you've shared, it can surface the counter arguments to those.
Correct.
And this is huge. One of the things that you mentioned is when we're having these meetings, maybe during the meeting, there's something that you want to speak to right away. And you can, because it's going to break the continuity of the meeting.
Right.
Or it's just not appropriate at that time. It's like, hey, we have to stay on the rails. Being able to, even without these tools, if we just have the audio and the transcript, we can time travel back into that meeting and say, let me listen to what he was talking about and think the thoughts that I had during that period of time and explore them further. And then maybe I can prepare something to reach back out to him and say, hey, when you mentioned this, I thought about this. Let's talk about that a little bit. This is something that we can do because we have this historical record.
And it's something that I totally leverage because I guess as with most people, like sometimes it happens, like we're having a conversation and then, the other person says something, our minds go like, poof.
Yeah.
The person continues talking and it takes us a while to come back here.
That's right.
And it's like, we're drawing a blank on everything else.
Because you're over here now.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right. And that like gets lost within that conversation until we go back to this content.
Until you go back.
Yeah.
So what I would offer is, because that's a thing that I do. If something more interesting jumps out, I will want to pursue that idea, even if I'm in the conversation with that other person. Right. In some respects, that is kind of disrespectful, because when you're talking to someone, the idea is that you're giving them your attention and you're giving them yours. Right. And if you're off pursuing this idea, like, it's not apparent to them unless they ask you to repeat what they just said. But what I would say is, because we know in the back of our minds, because at the very outset of these conversations, we say, hey, we're recording this. If I do want to pursue that idea, I can just in them right away say, this is being recorded, so I can come back to that later.
There you go. Yeah. 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 That folks use that. This is next level for sure. That's great. I do have like a hard stop in a couple of minutes. Oh, yeah. Any closing thoughts?
Closing thoughts.
Yeah.
Use your voice, use your tools. Yes. If you're in a meeting and you do want to go and explore some other idea, either let the person know, or because you know that you're recording that meeting, explore that idea later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Listen back to the recording. Read the transcript.
Yeah. Yeah.
What do you have?
Yeah. It's seconding that, and something I've been doing a lot is when I go back to these meetings, I may ask the same question, like, what are the top 3 aha moments or points of concern or whatever. Depending on the nature of the conversation, I might say, draft a blog post based on the things that I have shared. Yes. Because it knows the speakers. I say, I, Claudio, have shared. And then it will draft a blog post. And I can say, draft a blog post about point X. Or if it's like a longer meeting, like an hour and a half meeting, I'll say, give me a list of ideas for potential blog posts.
Yes.
And then I see like a list of 10 ideas, like, no, ooh, this is good. This is good. Oh, this is even better. Okay, this one, let's hone in on this one.
That's right.
Get me, what you have there. And then it gives me something which makes me think harder or think of other scenarios.
Yes.
Then I dictate into some tool to get a transcription and say, okay, now add this stuff here, round up that draft so that I can then come in, refine that draft, and then boom, we have a blog post.
Amazing.
It's sweet.
That's a great example of how you don't even have to think about the blank page. We just jump right into the ideas. And anyone that is more interesting than the others, we hone in on that one and explore it, build something from it, publish it.
Absolutely.
So yeah, we don't just build things, we put them out into the world as well.
Yeah. So that we may need to save that conversation for next time, which is we are taking content in.
Yeah.
We control that. We create. Great. We are creating, we are building. Are we shipping it?
Yes.
Right? So it's very important. So maybe let's save that for next time. Or depending on, we never know. We show up with a blank page and we see where it's going to take us. So we hope that that has been helpful.
Yes.
Always a pleasure, my friends.
Always a pleasure.
Now, see you for this next week.
Yeah.
All right.